All right, if you're a runner, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That raw, scratchy, just kind of empty feeling in your throat that pops up mid-run. It's got to be one of the most common things we deal with, right? But what's it actually trying to tell you? Is it just something to ignore, or is it basically your body's check engine light flashing? So let's get into it.
And really, this is the big question we're going to tackle. Because, getting this one wrong, it can literally be the difference between a little setback and a full-blown health crisis. So how in the world do you figure out what your body's trying to say? Let's start with the easy stuff first, the simple explanations.
Okay, so before we even start worrying about being sick, let's get this straight. Sometimes your throat just feels raw for totally mechanical reasons. Seriously, think of it less like a biological problem and more like a piece of equipment being put under a lot of stress. The issue isn't a bug, it's just physics.
And here's culprit number one, and honestly, it's so simple. The harder you run, right, the more you start breathing through your mouth. It's just inevitable. Now, your nose is this incredible built-in filter and humidifier. But the second you bypass it, you're basically blasting your throat with raw, dry air. It literally sucks the moisture right out of the lining of your airway. And that is where that classic burning, scratchy feeling comes from.
Okay, but what if it feels like more than just being dry? What if it feels like something's actually blocking your airway? Well, you could be dealing with something called exercise-induced laryngeal obstruction, or ELO for short. And this is a big one, because it's when the actual structures in your voice box start to narrow when you're exercising really hard. It gets misdiagnosed as asthma all the time.
So why does this even happen? Well, it's all about physics. You remember the Bernoulli principle from science class, right? The basic idea is that when you're gasping for air at high speed, that fast-moving air creates a low-pressure zone. It's like a mini vacuum inside your larynx. And that vacuum effect can literally suck the soft parts of your throat inward. It's a really scary feeling.
So how can you know if this is you? Well, here are the key things to look out for. First, a high-pitched whistling sound when you breathe in. That's really important, on the inhale, not the exhale. Second, that terrifying feeling like you're trying to breathe through a coffee straw. And here's the kicker. If you've ever used an asthma inhaler and it did absolutely nothing to help, that is a massive clue you might be looking at ELIO instead.
All right, so that covers the whole mechanical side of things, but what if that sore throat isn't about physics? What if it's the first little warning sign that you're actually getting sick? This is the moment every single runner dreads, right? The big decision. Do I push through it or do I stay in bed? The good news is there's a really solid guideline to help you make that call.
It's called the neck rule. And look, this isn't just some old folk wisdom runners pass around. It's a legit tool used by pro athletes and their coaches. As Dr. Allen from USA Triathlon says, it's basically a simple way to manage your risk. It gives you a clear framework to look at your symptoms and make a smart, safe decision.
And here's how it works. It is incredibly simple. You just think of your neck as a dividing line. Are all of your symptoms above the neck? A runny nose, some sneezing, maybe that mild sore throat? If that's all it is, then a light, easy run is probably okay. And this is a huge but, if any of your symptoms are below the neck, like chest congestion, a nasty cough, a fever, body aches, the answer is no. It's an absolute rest day, no debate, no exceptions.
So why is that below the neck rule so absolute? What's actually happening inside your body that makes running with that kind of illness so dangerous? Let's dive into the science behind it.
And I want to be crystal clear about this. Trying to tough it out when you have a fever or a bad chest cold, that is not a sign of mental toughness. It's just a really, really bad gamble with your health. The stakes are so much higher than just missing a few days of training.
The core reason is something scientists call the open window theory. After you do any kind of intense exercise, your immune system basically takes a temporary nosedive. It's suppressed. Think of it like your body's security system going offline for a little while. And during that open window, which can last from 3 hours all the way up to 72 hours, you are way more vulnerable to any infection getting a serious hold.
And you can see right here what's actually happening on a cellular level. Your lymphocytes, those are like the soldiers of your immune system, their numbers just tank. Your natural killer cells, the ones that are amazing at fighting viruses, they get suppressed. Even the specific antibody that protects your throat, salivary IgA, takes a big hit. So if you're already fighting something off, and then you go for a run and force your body into this state, you're basically throwing open the gates and inviting that virus to have a party.
But here's the most frightening part of this whole thing. When you have a virus that's systemic, the kind that gives you a fever and makes your whole body ache, the biggest danger isn't even to your lungs.
The real target, the one organ that's in serious danger, is your heart.
The condition is called viral myocarditis. And what that means is the virus itself, like the flu, is directly attacking and inflaming your heart muscle. Now think about it. If you take an inflamed muscle and force it to do hard work, what happens? Forcing your heart to pump hard during a run when it's inflamed can cause permanent scarring, it can lead to dangerous heart rhythms, and in the absolute worst-case scenario, it can cause sudden cardiac arrest. This is one of the main reasons young, healthy athletes sometimes die suddenly. And look, even if you get through it, the consequences are huge. A diagnosis of myocarditis means you are completely shut down from all strenuous activity for 3 to 6 months. Think about that. For any dedicated runner, that's not just your season gone. That can be a career ender. And all because you decided to push through one run when your body was begging you to just rest. Okay, so after hearing about all those scary risks, it's pretty obvious the smartest thing to do is just listen to your body. So let's shift gears. Let's talk about what you can do to prevent that throat irritation in the first place, and then how to get back to running safely once you've been sick.
You know the old saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right? Well, it's totally true here. Trying to breathe through your nose as much as possible is your #1 defense. It warms, humidifies, and filters the air. Plus, it boosts something called nitric oxide, which is actually antiviral. Of course, stay super hydrated and don't forget electrolytes. And a simple one, if it's cold out, just wear a scarf or a buff over your mouth. It makes a massive difference by warming the air before it ever hits your throat.
And when it's time to come back after being sick, please don't just jump right back in where you left off. You need a plan. First, you have to be totally symptom-free for at least a full 24 to 48 hours. Then, your first workout back should be at like 50% of your normal effort. From there, you slowly, gradually build back up over the next couple of weeks. And watch your heart rate. If it's way higher than normal for an easy run, that's your body telling you it's not ready yet.
And last but not least, these are the absolute, non-negotiable red flags. If you're coming back and you feel any chest pain, if you feel way more breathless than you should, or you get super dizzy, you stop. Right then and there. I mean it. Don't try to finish the mile. Don't walk it off. Stop and go get checked out by a doctor.
So here's the takeaway. The next time you're out for a run and you feel that little scratch in your throat, don't just ignore it. Think of your throat as a sentinel, like a guard standing watch over your health, and your only job is to figure out what message that guard is sending. Is it just a simple warning about some dry air that a little water will fix? Or is it the first quiet alarm bell telling you that your whole system is under threat and that it's time to rest and recover? Honestly, learning to tell the difference, that's the secret to staying healthy and running for the long haul.